I'll be attempting to get 100% of Subnautica. For that, I need to unravel all these alien planet secrets, build an underwater base, reach the deepest points of the ocean, and survive all the encounters with the scariest creatures there are. But can someone who has never played this game and scared of the deep ocean achieve that? Let's find out. My journey started with me in the escape pod, looking at how my ship exploded, and before I could even understand what was going on, this happened. Don't hit me. When I finally woke up, the entire pod was on fire. So before exploring an alien planet, my first mission was apparently learning how to use a fire extinguisher. But after dealing with that, I climbed outside for the first time. And this is the moment when I understood why people love this game. You are surrounded by nothing but the ocean. You have no idea what's below you, no idea where to go, but everything looks beautiful. So obviously, I jumped straight in and got my first achievement. At first, everything felt peaceful. Colorful fish, weird plants, beautiful environment. So I started doing what every survival player does, looting everything. I found these acid mushrooms and thought I probably need this later. And somehow that turned into me swimming around with a full inventory of nothing but mushrooms. What a true survival expert. But slowly the game started introducing actual survival. I had to manage hunger, thirst, and health, which means half of my relaxing ocean adventure became chasing fish around because apparently every time I wanted a drink, some poor creature had to become a meal or a bottle. Yeah, that totally makes sense. But thanks to devs, they've put some initial resources into the storage for me to consume, knowing that dummy like me would die in the first hour of a playthrough. And while I was getting comfortable, I met my first aggressive creature. A fish whose entire survival strategy is swimming directly into your face and exploding. What the fuck? Turns out, as soon as this thing is out of the cocoon, you're getting hit unless you have enough movement speed to escape, which you don't for the first couple of hours. And then the first night came, and the game changed completely. During the day, I wanted to explore everything. At night, hell no! And I decided collecting glowing fish near my pod was a much better choice. After surviving my first night, I finally started making progress. I crafted a scanner, which basically lets you scan everything in the world. Creature, plants, technologies, hundreds of pages of information, which I'm sure someone reads. Definitely not me though, at least not at the beginning of the game. The next problem was oxygen, and I had only 45 seconds in the beginning of the game, so every time I found something interesting, the game reminded me, hey buddy, you still need air. So I upgraded my oxygen tank to 135 seconds, and suddenly I could actually explore instead of spending half of my in-game time swimming back to the surface. And with longer exploration came a new enemy, inventory management. No! I had resources everywhere, random fish, mushrooms, materials I didn't understand, so I built a bunch of storage containers under my pod so they swam there for quite a bit. With my new equipment, I started exploring further away and found my first stalkers. And unlike the cute fish near my pod, these guys actually had a problem with me existing. Oh, what the hell? Oh, these are actually attacking me. Oh, hell no. But exploration paid off. I found pieces of the ship wreckage, scanned some parts, and slowly started unlocking more advanced technologies. And while I was casually collecting resources, my giant crashed spaceship decided exploding once wasn't enough. The Aurora blew up again. Holy shit. Spreading radiation everywhere, and suddenly I had a new objective, build a radiation suit. Before that, I needed a better equipment, so I crafted a knife, the flashlight, and a repair tool. The knife finally gave me a way to defend myself and collect new materials by cutting the seaweed, corals, and a lot more. The flashlight meant I didn't have to be completely useless at night, and the repair tool let me fix my pod. So finally, I restored the radio, a chance to contact someone, a chance to get rescued. And the first message basically told me, yeah, good luck with that, buddy. This planet is unknown to humans, so to hell your rescue mission. What a great start. So I accepted my new life as an ocean man and continued upgrading. The next goal was the radiation suit. I checked the recipe and only needed one thing, lead ore. I had no idea how to find it, so I went on a massive journey, breaking rocks, exploring caves, searching everywhere for 30 minutes straight, only to come back and realize I already had leads sitting in my storage. And apparently the hardest enemy in Subnautica wasn't the creatures, it was my rotten brain. game. After finally making the suit, I realized the radiation wasn't even affecting me yet because it spread a little closer to the Aurora ship. The next upgrade changed everything, the habitat builder. Until this point, my entire life existed inside a tiny floating pod surrounded by random storage containers. But now I could actually build a base. So I created my first underwater home. I mean, a little room that looked like shit. And realized something. I have absolutely no idea how to get inside. After a little bit of searching, I discovered this crazy invention called a door. I probably need the hatch. And finally entered my first base and got the achievement. I built a bunch of storage cabins to store and sort my resources. In my experience, it might be one of the most important things in these types of games. While collecting resources to expand my base, I also found a blueprint to something called the Sea Glide. At this point, I had no idea how important it was, but anything that makes me spend less time swimming like a grandpa sounds pretty good to me. With my first base finally built, I was slowly starting to figure things out. I had storage, better equipment, and a place that actually felt like home. But before exploring any further, there was one problem I couldn't ignore: thirst. I was running dangerously low, so I spent some time collecting enough fish to make a decent supply and hopefully stop worrying about dehydration every 5 minutes. With that problem solved, I went back to gathering resources, and on my way home, I received another radio message. LifePod 3 was still transmitting. Someone else might actually be alive. Before checking it out, I finally crafted the Sea Glide, and this thing is fast. The ocean that felt impossibly huge before suddenly became much easier to explore. Oh my god, I'm so fast with this. I also built a solar panel to power my base and received another signal from LifePod 6. The only problem, I had no idea where they were. That's one of the pods. But where's the other one? So LifePod 3 was first. I grabbed my new Sea Glide and went straight for the signal. But when I arrived, yeah, a giant hole in the side of the pod. Nobody's inside. And the only thing I found was a compass blueprint, which honestly seemed pretty useless at the time. But maybe I'll find a reason to use it later. And this is where Subnautica finally hit me. I had upgrades, I had tools, I had a base, but I had absolutely no idea what I was supposed to do. I'm still figuring out the whole game, what am I supposed to do and stuff like that. I'm still a little bit clueless. So the only thing that made sense was to keep exploring and hope I can accidentally find something important. First, I crafted a beacon because knowing myself, there was absolutely no way I was finding my base again if I went too far from it. And soon after, another message came through the radio. Some guy from the cafeteria was stuck in his life spot and apparently getting hunted by some weird snake creatures. And obviously, I had to save him. So I immediately went in this direction and got distracted by these sand sharks swimming around. They pretty cute and barely attack you. Get off of me! But there was a guy waiting for help and I reached the pod. But the only thing left was another log. And once I got out of the pod, I discovered these massive creatures. Reefback Leviathans. Reefback Leviathan? Seeing something this big for the first time was terrifying, because in my experience, big creatures usually mean to get away as fast as possible. But surprisingly, these guys were actually harmful and carrying around a bunch of early game resources. On my way, I found blueprints for the scanner room, bioreactor, basically everything I needed to expand my base and stop living like a homeless fish. But then I found something else, the mesmer. At first, I had no idea what was happening. This thing started pulling me closer and I genuinely thought, wait, he's asking for a hug? Oh, okay, so he's attacking me. You're going down. What? Nope, he was not. This little shit one-shotted me, and that became my first death of the entire game. But did I learn my lesson? Absolutely not, because now I knew one thing. The deeper I go, the more interesting things I find. This time, I went even deeper and discovered this completely new blue area. I found blood oil, new creatures. Oh, what is that? And started scanning everything I could. But there was one small problem. I had no way back. My oxygen was running out. I was way too deep and I already knew this was one-way trip. So I used my last seconds to scan an ampoule and I died. Until I realized dying actually removes items from your inventory. Wait, I lost everything. Oh my god, I'm losing all my shit. What am I supposed to do?
I suggest you stop whining like a little bitch.
Well, good to know. But then finally the radio gave me some good news. Someone received my signal. Finally, I had hope. I found this huge hole leading into a purple cave system filled with these giant snake creatures. I went down, explored as much as possible, and obviously oxygen ran out again and I blacked out. At this point, I realized maybe randomly throwing myself into dangerous places wasn't the smartest strategy. Maybe I should slow down, read the logs, check what I can craft, actually understand the game, or dive into purple area again. I went straight back into the purple cave, but this time I actually found something important, an abundant abandoned underwater base. Most of it was furniture and random decorations, but then I scanned something really important, a water filtration machine. After spending hours catching fish just to survive, I could finally make my own water. I also scanned a multi-purpose room and my oxygen ran out completely. The water filtration machine sounded like the perfect solution to all my problems. I was missing some crucial resources to actually build it, and I had absolutely no idea where to find them. So instead, I decided to work in something I already understood, expanding my base. And that's when I discovered another mechanic I didn't even know existed, the hull strength. Apparently, every time you build something, your base loses structural integrity. If that number goes below 0, your entire base starts breaking apart and flooding. The solution is pretty simple. Build reinforcements to make your base stronger. The problem? They required lithium, a resource I had never seen before. So yeah, my base goes bye-bye. And because I'm an idiot, I completely forgot the repair tool exists. So instead of fixing the damage, I tore apart my whole base and left just one small room with holes in the walls for the next couple of hours. Nothing was flooding, everything was barely working. Well, it's good enough for me. Since my base expansion mission stopped, I went back into the ocean looking for anything useful. And that's when I discovered something important. My first Seamoth fragment. At the time, I didn't really understand how important it was. I just knew it was another blueprint I needed to complete. Is that thing friendly? I finally found last piece of a Seamoth. So I decided to leave everything behind and build a new base in the middle of nowhere. I traveled around 1200 meters away from my pod and 250 meters deep. Was it a good idea? Probably not. I started building my new home. Multi-purpose room, storages, solar panel for electricity. Except I didn't know that 250 meters down, the sun doesn't actually reach this place. So my amazing power source produced absolutely nothing. And because I still didn't have proper oxygen support here, I died. But surprisingly, I spawned back inside my new base, which means I have to travel far. I returned to my first base, grabbed as many resources as possible, and moved everything over. This time, I built a bioreactor, and instead of relying on sunlight, it creates power from organic materials, fish, plants, basically anything you throw inside. I added storage, windows, and organized everything, and then realized something. Traveling between two bases is completely pointless. So temporarily, I stopped building and went back to what actually mattered, finding new areas. While exploring, I met these bone sharks for the first time. I got close enough to scan them and went the fuck out immediately. I also kept finding these massive resources deposits everywhere, including lithium, the exact thing I needed hours ago to reinforce my base. The only problem was, I still didn't have the equipment needed to break them.
I'll be back.
Eventually, I found another huge shipwreck. Inside, I discovered upgrades for machines I didn't even have yet. A drill arm blueprint, which apparently was exactly what I needed for those huge resource deposits. Moonpool fragments, gardening equipment, and a bunch of new technologies that open even more possibilities. Oh, and somewhere in between all of this, I discovered you can create a bigger bottle of water from bleach? What? I'm not going to question how it works. After spending some time upgrading the base, I've received another signal, this time from LifePod 12. On my way there, I actually found something useful, the Ultra Glide Fins blueprint. Anything that makes me move faster underwater is an instant upgrade. But right after that, I also discovered these weird tiger penises sticking out of the ground, and I had no idea they were dangerous until they actually killed me. When I finally reached LifePod 12, nobody survived as usual. The only thing waiting for me was another message explaining what happened, but the trip wasn't useless. Around the pod, I finally found lithium and ruby, two resources I was missing for a bunch of upgrades. With lithium collected, I went back to my base and finally built the water filtration machine. Did I know how it worked? Not really, but it was built. And while I was figuring that out, another message arrived, LifePod 13. But before chasing another signal, I had one big goal. I needed the Seamoth. But apparently vehicles in this game require something called a mobile vehicle bay, which I somehow missed in the starting area. After hours of playing, luckily while searching around, I finally found the missing fragments, crafted the mobile vehicle bay, and those tiny drones built my first real vehicle. The Seamoth was ready, granting me another achievement. And let me tell you, this thing completely changed the game. I could travel across the map, explore underwater as long as I wanted, and whenever I needed oxygen, I could just jump back inside and breathe again. Oh my god, this is so good. I don't know why I'm so excited. So with my new vehicle, I continued exploring and went for another lifebot. Of course, there was one limitation. The Seamoth could only go 200 meters deep. Go lower than that, and the pressure starts destroying it. Why does the pressure destroy a machine but not my tiny human body? I have no idea. But luckily, the Seamoth can be upgraded later to go deeper, move faster, and become even better. And this time, I actually found something different. A time capsule. Inside was a suit that slowly produces water over time, which means I didn't have to constantly worry about making bottles anymore. And the discoveries didn't stop there. I also found the vehicle upgrade console. Basically the exact thing I needed to start improving my Seamoth. At this point, I had so many new blueprints that I just wanted to go home and build everything. First project, the moon pool. And I didn't even realize what I was building until it was finished. It's literally a giant underwater garage for the Seamoth. And honestly, this thing is badass. So obviously, my Seamoth needed an upgrade. I changed the color, named it Ashrenius, and upgraded it to survive up to 300 meters deep. And now we're ready. I went back into the purple area. I tried scanning this little mushroom, which wasn't even the mushroom at all. But deeper inside, I found another abandoned base, and this place was full of technology. But the biggest discovery was the thermoblade. This upgrade is actually insane. Instead of catching fish and cooking them, you just hit them once, and they are cooked. I mean, you can eat them. And that still wasn't everything. On top of the base, I also scanned the observatory and unlocked another achievement. And after finally returning home, I built a modification station for myself, which gave me even more upgrades. Better fins, a bigger oxygen tank, so I became a daddy of a planet. After everything I went through, I finally received the message I was waiting for. A rescue ship picked up my signal, and in 40 minutes, I was leaving the planet. While heading to the landing location, I found this little creature Warper who's pretty cute and harmless. So I scanned him right in his face and tried to make a steak out of him, but he fled like a true rat he is. And eventually, I reached something I definitely wasn't expecting. After spending the entire game surrounded by nothing but water, I didn't even know land existed in this game. There are islands in the game? What? That's an island!
No shit, Sherlock!
But of course, the island wasn't completely safe. It was covered with these little crabs jumping around everywhere. And since I was starving, I stopped the crab once or twice. That's when I discovered a cave system underneath the island, and inside, a weird purple tablet. I had no idea what it was for at the time, but it looked cool. After returning back to the surface, I finally noticed the giant alien structure sitting on the island. And apparently, that random tablet I found was the key to get inside. I'm going in, baby. The whole place was massive. Alien technology everywhere. And upon entering deep enough,
That's what she said.
I got another achievement. Then I found a data terminal containing information I couldn't even translate. But deeper, I scanned one specific device. And apparently, this thing has the potential to destroy the whole planet and most of the solar system. Say what, brother? After exploring deeper, I reached the main chamber, and some random machine decided to stab me in the arm and told me that I'm infected and the planet is under quarantine. The message also said infected people cannot disable the weapon. There is a weapon? 40 minutes later, when the time of my saving came, my rescue ship finally arrived, and the alien structure activated. Oh my god! This is the air defense weapon! And just like that, my only way home was gone. Holy shit. Since the system told me that infected species aren't able to disable the weapons, that meant that I'm not leaving the planet anytime soon, as it will blow up me again like it did with the Aurora in the beginning of the game, which meant it was finally time to investigate the reason I'm here in the first place. The Aurora itself. Getting inside was basically a straight path through destroyed decks, filled with these little crabs constantly trying to jump on me. I found supplies, tons of batteries, collected logs, and discovered passcodes to unlock different rooms, until I reached this blocked doorway and had absolutely no idea how to continue. And while I was trying to figure it out, this thing appeared right in front of me. No explanation. What the hell is even that? But it immediately ran off, scared of my fire extinguisher. Since the normal path was blocked, I tried to find another way around. Maybe climbed over it. I tried to sneak through the top and jumped right into the door and immediately got killed by the fire. So yeah, that wasn't the solution. Turns out, I was missing a tool, the propulsion cannon. It allows you to move heavy object blocking your path. So after crafting it, I returned back to the Aurora Aurora, and this time I could finally explore everything. The ship was full of resources, batteries, water supplies, but the biggest discovery was the Prawn Suit. At the time, I didn't fully understand how important it was, but later, this thing would completely change the areas I could explore. Soon after, I reached the engine room. The reactor was damaged and leaking radiation, so I had to repair all 10 broken sections, and once the final crack was fixed, the Aurora was finally stable, and this granted me another achievement. With the Aurora explored, I needed a new goal. I still had a signal from a lifebot sitting 500 meters deep, but there was just one problem. My Seamoth could only survive 300 meters deep. Anything below that, and I would have to swim, and with the amount of oxygen I had, that was basically impossible. So before going deeper, I needed another upgrade. I decided to expand my base and create every single little item I never built to see if I overlooked anything, and that's when I discovered the scanner room. This thing scans the area around you, locating every single item. Upon selecting the desired one, it will locate it and you'll be able to see it through the drone. Also, it has upgrades, such as increasing the scan area, speed of scanning, and removes the need of using the drone. Naturally, I went for a lookout for this new material called magnetite to upgrade my scanning room, but it's easier said than done. This stuff blends into the environment so well you need a scanner room 100%. Otherwise, you're just swimming past it all the time. Yeah, it's really hard to spot. Holy shit, this is so little. Later, I went back to the alien island, where I found this teleportation gate, which teleported me to a completely different floating island. There were 3 abandoned habitats containing lore information about 3 people living on the island. First is the Pole, Captain Pussy, who's scared of anything and willing to just sit and wait for the rescue which will never come. Second is his son Bart, who started to grow food to not die of starvation, but it was going pretty slow. And the last one is Marguerite. She's basically an Amazonian warrior who doesn't believe in savior, and all she wants to do is not to sit on their asses and move underwater. Definitely a wife material. I hope she loves Snoo Snoo. After collecting one of the PDAs, I unlocked another achievement. Upon returning to the base, I've created a status rifle, probably something I'm never going to use. So I decided to prioritize the MK modules for my Seamoth, and soon after, I've created not only 1, but 2 upgrades allowing me to safely reach 900 meters, which is insane. Are you kidding me? 900? I thought it's going to be like 400 and then 500. Oh my god, this is just not okay. But it wasn't enough since I knew where to get all the materials to create the Prawn Suit, another machine I needed. And after gathering all the resources, I was able to craft it, which rewarded me with the Order the Pawn achievement. The initial suit isn't even that good. It's slow and it can only walk on the ocean floor. But I can punch now. I can actually kill the fucking fish with that. More importantly, you can connect it with your garage and build update modules to make it better. So my next objective became the drill arm, which finally lets you harvest all these huge ore deposits I've been staring at for hours. While all of that was happening, I also finished moving everything into my second base, but I was constantly running low on power, and half of my stations weren't even working, so I needed lithium to expand my base, where I can build a couple of engines, and that made me go deeper, where I met Mr. Krabs. Hello, Mr. Krabs. No! After making it back alive, I expanded my base one last time. I built a large room and placed 2 bioreactors inside, so now I have plenty of energy. And with that, the base was temporarily finished. Man, I was doing that for 5 hours and I had an absolute blast during that time. With my suit finally ready to be tested, I headed all the way down to 500 meters to investigate another habitat. Turned out, it belongs to the same crew I had learned about earlier on the floating island. Unfortunately, some massive leviathan-like creature had torn a hole into the base, flooding it completely and leaving me clueless about what happened to the crew. I scanned a coffee machine and collected a few PDAs, and for that, I got a Sea Monster achievement for fully investigating the habitat. Since I was already this deep without any suit depth upgrades, I decided to push my luck and go as far down as possible. That's when I found nickel ore for the first time, a crucial material I desperately needed for future suit upgrades. Nickel ore! Let's go! That's exactly what I need. 10 minutes later, I came across the skeleton of one of these planet's ancient ancestors, and thank god they're extinct by now. I also discovered an alien research room where I had absolutely no idea what I was supposed to do, so I scanned everything I could and headed back to my base with a full inventory of nickel ore inside my suit. That finally allowed me to update my boy with a better jump and depth module, and now I could safely venture down to 1200 meters, which was exactly what I planned to do, until on my way I ran into ghost leviathans for the first time. Maybe it's not even like dangerous, maybe it's friendly. I'm not messing with that. Around the 800-meter mark, I found another bigger alien facility, which gave me another achievement. Here, they had been researching different life forms, especially the warpers. Apparently, they were trying to understand the disease spreading across the planet, and now I got sick as well, which I can confirm by scanning myself. But all of that could wait. First, I needed my own little cozy corner to relax and enjoy my morning coffee. While decorating my room, I received another radio message with the passcode to the captain's quarter inside the Aurora. So that's exactly where I headed next. Inside, I found what might be the most important blueprint in the entire game. The plans needed to begin building this spaceship that would eventually let me leave this planet. Obviously, I didn't realize how important it was at the time, but someone in my Twitch chat suggested I swim toward the edge of the map because there might be even better loot out there. Meet the daddy of all ghost leviathans. The fuck is that? Can I scan you? Got you. This thing will one-shot you no matter what. So yeah, that's basically the developer's way of telling you to stay the fuck away from the edge of the map. So with one more viewer banned, I move on to the new biome where I finally found the last Cyclops blueprint. On my way back, I met the Sea Treader. These are really rare creatures that wander around the world, roaming for reefs in search of vegetation. Once I got back to the base, I decided to build an alien containment where you can hatch your own fish by placing creature eggs inside. I spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how to put an egg in before realizing you actually need to build a hatch to enter it. Add a hatch to enter. Dude, it's literally saying add a hatch to enter. Inside, I placed the 2 cuttlefish eggs I had found earlier in one of the alien facilities. Now all that's left to do is wait for my little guys to hatch. With that done, I prioritized building the Cyclops and the foundation for the rocket I'll eventually use to escape the planet. Obviously, I was missing a bunch of resources, but that could wait because my little boys had finally grown up. Can they actually grow even bigger so they can actually kill their leviathans?
What?
After what felt like eternity collecting resources for everything, I was finally ready to start building. I started with the foundation, which is basically a huge platform you'll continue building until the rocket is complete. Then came the Cyclope. This thing is absolutely enormous, and building it rewarded me with another achievement. The Cyclope is basically a full-size mobile base with its own engine, tons of storage, and even a built-in garage for a Seamoth and Prawn Suit. But to be completely honest, I never used the thing. First of all, I had no idea how to descend with it, so I just kept driving back and forth, and second, it's way too big. It barely fits anywhere, especially in caves. So no matter how cool it looked, I ended up leaving it there forever, waiting for the next adventurer. Now it was time to build the Neptune Gentry. Luckily, it only required early game resources, so that wasn't a problem, except for the titanium. Every plastil ingot requires 10 titanium, and it's used in almost every single blueprint. But after gathering everything I needed, the Neptune Gentry was finally complete. It unlocked the Neptune Boosters blueprint. Again? So I went out to collect the remaining resources. In just a few minutes later, the boosters were finished. Next on the list was the fuel reserve, which required another 10 titanium. But more importantly, the ion power cell and kyanite, 2 things I had never even encountered before, which meant only one thing: time to check on my little babies. So I took one of them with me and released it into the ocean, which rewarded me with the man's best friend achievement. At this point, my only way forward was down. I ventured all the way to 1100 meters, where I found the final ore the game has to offer, kyanite. Around this depth, the game introduced the final biome, the lava zone. Honestly, it didn't seem that bad. Pretty peaceful. Well, except for these guys. Oh, what the fuck is that? As soon as I reached 1300 meters, my suit wasn't built for that depth, and I was also running out of power, so my only option was to head back home and build the upgrades I needed. That meant spending about 20 minutes walking all the way back because this suit is painfully slow, and I never found a grappling arm upgrade to help me move across all this terrain. But once I got back, I crafted modules that let me recharge my power in hot areas and increase my maximum depth to 1700 meters. I also read a data log mentioning an ancient facility hidden inside a massive rock at around 1200 meters, so that's exactly where I headed next. It took me nearly 10 minutes to find it because it was hidden inside the giant rock in the middle of the area, and as the tradition goes, entering the facility rewarded me with another achievement. Unfortunately, there was a locked door that required a purple tablet, which I had forgotten to bring. Luckily, the developers were nice enough to place a teleportation gate inside the facility that leads all the way back to the floating islet we visited at the beginning of the game. So now we can instantly travel between the islands and a base located 1200 meters below the ocean. I grabbed the tablet, came all the way back, and inside found a blue tablet, and then I discovered the data terminal, explaining that another facility was located at 1400 meter mark, and by interacting with this orange data terminal, I also unlocked the ion battery and ion power cell blueprints I needed for the next part of the rocket. Now it was time time for the next facility. This is almost the deepest point in the entire game. The ghost appeared once again, offering her help. But before I could do anything, this huge guy guarding the facility interrupted us. What the fuck is that? After getting inside, I used my only blue tablet to unlock the entrance. Inside, I scanned a bunch of ancient alien technology and discovered 4 different teleporters, leading to 4 completely different locations around the map. The game basically gives you a fast travel system if you ever need to come back here, which was perfect, because back at my base, I finally had everything needed to build the next part of the rocket, and upon doing that, it unlocked the final section, which of course required another 10 titanium. After running back and forth collecting resources, I had everything except the shield generator for the Cyclops. It then took me another 30 minutes just to find the fabricator that could actually craft it.
It's so well hidden, dude. Come on.
But once that was done, I built the final part of the rocket. Finally, it was time to get the fuck out of this planet. I initialized all the systems, created a time capsule for future adventurers, and there was only one thing left: launch the rocket.
Cannot launch rocket while quarantine. Enforcement platform is still active.
I still had to disable the quarantine weapon, otherwise none of this would work. Naturally, I headed back to the facility and finally met the ghost I've been seeing throughout the entire playthrough in person. Meet the Sea Emperor, basically the god of all creatures. She's completely harmless and asks you for one favor: help hatch her children and release them into the world through this portal, because the aliens imprison her here and she cannot leave her cell. To do that, I needed to craft the hatching enzymes. Unfortunately, I didn't read that part and thought it was the cure for my infection, so I went searching for all different plants needed to craft it and got the achievement for finding primary containment facility. And once it was finally finished,
Now I'm cured.
wait, do I have to drink it?
What the fuck?
So I returned to the facility for the 3rd time and finally hatched a little fish. Nothing happened. So I tried turning one of the babies into the food. That's when the mother finally cured my infection and rewarded me with the optimal health achievement. That meant only one thing. This time I was finally launching the rocket and getting the hell out of this planet, right?
Cannot launch rocket.
I forgot to disable the quarantine weapon before leaving. So back to the floating island for the 5th or 6th time. I honestly lost count. A little pokey and the weapon was finally disabled. Back at the rocket, it finally worked. I unlocked the final 2 achievement and flew straight into the title screen. And that's 100% of Subnautica. Let me tell you, I enjoyed every second of this game and I'm really glad I got to experience it with my amazing chat. If you enjoyed this video as well, consider subscribing and let me know in the comments what game should I 100% next. See ya!